everyone, this is Isaac here, and Dreamworks is one of the most fascinating animation studios out there. In terms of their filmography, they've made some cinematic gems like The Prince of Egypt and the Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, and How to Train Your Dragon trilogies, and they're still turning out some modern bangers like The Bad Guys and especially Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. However, while they have some impressive highs for their movies, they also have some of the deepest lows imaginable, and sometimes it can be hard to select one of them as their definitive worst. But today, I'm going to talk about what I consider to be one of their two worst movies in preparation for its next sequel, and that movie is Trolls. Based on the Good Luck Troll dolls, Trolls was released in 2016 to decently positive reviews and decent box office returns, especially considering the fact that it opened on the same day as Marvel's Doctor Strange in the US. But of course, I'm making this video to explain why I think it's the worst film Dreamworks has made. Well, actually, I can't decide for the life of me if it or its sequel, World Tour, is worse. Both are awful movies to be sure, but I'd consider them more or less on the same playing field in terms of how awful they are. So let's start with the first one and work our way up from there in order to be 100% ready for Band Together in a few weeks' time. It's about the trolls, these creatures who are just the most gosh darn happy things imaginable. There's also the Bergens, who are always depressed and eat the trolls to feel a slight sense of happiness. One day, the trolls escape from being eaten and all seems well and good for a while until this dumbass bitch Poppy throws a party that draws the attention of the Bergen chef. All the trolls are then kidnapped, except for her and Branch, who's basically her polar opposite as an overly cautious, easily annoyed pessimist. So the two have to team up and save their friends before they get vored. My biggest problem with Trolls is one that might seem surprising to some of you at first, but it'll probably make more sense once I explain it. This movie is hypocritical. Why do I say that? Well, because it's a movie that's all about positivity and how great it is and that you don't need to be a cannibal to be happy. And yet, how it goes about handling its message left a really bitter taste in my mouth. Throughout most of the film, Branch is relentlessly bullied and demonized for his depression, and even after the unintentionally hilarious singing killed my grandma scene where he discusses his PTSD, the other trolls are basically like, wow, that's interesting, but I sure don't care. It's honestly a really toxic message for a kid's film, essentially saying, be happy all the time, and if you're not happy, something's wrong with you. Like, yeah, it's important to be positive, but sometimes it's just as important to be sad, angry, or scared. Inside Out was able to convey this message really well a year prior, so that only continues to hit home that for a movie claiming to be all about happiness, the only emotion that it's able to make me feel is complete frustration. And the main cause of that frustration comes from the main character, Poppy. I'm just gonna come out and say it, she is my least favorite main protagonist in any Dreamworks movie. And yes, that includes Will Smith Fish. There is nothing remotely likable or endearing about Poppy's character. She's about as intelligent as a clod of dirt, she's a toxic positive prick, she's stubborn as a mule, she's painfully annoying, she doesn't learn from her mistakes, and did I mention that she's an idiot? Oh, I did? It's good to hit that point home. And the other characters aren't much better. Outside of Branch, who's easily the most sympathetic of the bunch for the sole reason that he's not a complete dickhead, the characters here just aren't likable or memorable in the slightest. Like, this movie has a goddamn twist villain voiced by someone who definitely respects women, and he barely impacted the plot other than him briefly revealing himself to be a Bergen spy, and yet he's only the second worst twist villain Dreamworks has made. And sorta related to the characters, this movie is about as funny as a cancer diagnosis. With like one exception, I did not laugh at all. The jokes here are as unfunny and immature as they get, only appealing to small children and no one else. And yeah, that does kinda apply to this movie in general, but just because it has a younger target audience doesn't mean it shouldn't try to entertain older viewers. I mean, why else is Bluey as popular as it is? The only thing that keeps Trolls from being completely worthless would probably have to be the animation, because it and its sequel are some very nice looking movies with a strong use of vibrant colors. That, and I will admit that Get Back Up Again is a pretty decent song, especially considering how it was the first song Benj Pasek and Justin Paul wrote for a theatrically released film, a whole month before La La Land came out, but that does very little to change its quality beyond having some competent animation and one okay song wasted on this cinematic fecal matter. In conclusion, Trolls is a terrible movie with next to nothing of substance other than a cast of loathsome characters, terrible humor, a shockingly mean-spirited tone, and a dangerous message. It only exists to distract kids and to produce merchandise. And maybe I'm being too harsh towards it, but I don't really care at this point. The people who made this movie didn't seem to care, so why should I? 2 out of 10, don't watch it. And I still have 2 more of these turds to talk about. Man, this is gonna be fun. If you want to see those videos and more like them, then subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!